Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo. That's the kind of scenario they have created, which has made it very difficult not to talk tribalism.
Who are they you're referring to?
The parties, APC, PDP, and all the parties together, they have produced that scenario. APC went for Tinubu, PDP went for Atiku, and then the Labour Party, which are the major players. I'm discounting the rest. So I'm looking at those three major players.
Why are you discounting the rest?
Because even when you go to the US, their own cases, you hardly even find three parties playing at the top. You're always having two, but you have many other parties in the system. They are mushroom parties.
Are you saying ADC, NRM,
they
SDP are all NMPP?
They are
all
mushroom parties. As far as we are now, we have three major contenders. Even the third contender is shaky. Let me explain why. The Obi movement is more like a rebel movement. So Obi is a creation of PDP and APC. They created him unknowingly.
Interesting.
So, having created this scenario, Obi is riding on that sentiment. And then the youth who feel that they have always been sidelined, are seeing him as a young man who is also speaking their language. That's how the obedient movement is growing. But it doesn't have that full structure that constitutes winning election goes beyond a mass movement. You need structures on ground. No. Atiku has not lost touch with reality. In fact, among these presidential candidates, I can say he is a more realistic candidate. Obi is an idealistic candidate. Okay, he speaks good grammar, yes. He brings out statistics, yes. Well, we have had all these things before. He's charismatic, yes. But the age Atiku has over him, his experience, the candor, they stay on mind.
Are you talking about age or competence?
No, not really
here now?
age. Not really age, but age experience also comes with age. But what I'm trying to say is this: if you put Atiku, in fact, Obi is the product of Atiku.
All right, so we begin our today's conversation taking our quote from Dashan Stokes, an author, sociologist, public speaker, and pundit. He speaks on politics, culture, and civil rights, and he's known as a progressive activist. He once said, "Blind party loyalty will be our downfall. We must follow the truth wherever it leads." Okay. So our next quote is from Abdra Dev. He is an author, and he once said, "These politicians and party members are unforgiving. They put you on a pedestal as long as you help them win. But if you fail, if you are the reason behind their defeat, they will drag you down in no time." Okay. Our last quote is from Woodrow Wilson, an American politician and academic who served as the 28th president of the United States of America from 1913 to 1921. He once said, "A politician, a man engaged in party contest, must be an opportunist. Let us give up saying that word as if it contained a slur. If you want to win in party action, I take it for granted, that you want to lure the majority of your side. I never heard of any man in his senses who was fishing for a minority." All right, so let's see how all of this going to relate to what we'll be discussing today. Very warm greetings and welcome to The Conversation. We're reaching you from Kaftan's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Annabelle Oji. All right. My guest on the show today is Engineer Terver Atsar. He is former Benue State governorship aspirant on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. He contested during the recent primaries where he opted out due to issues around zoning and power sharing. But on the show today, we will turn our attention to his party or the PDP internal wranglings to get an idea of what they are doing to clear the messy situation, even as the campaign period is fast approaching. You don't want to miss this part of the show. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation. We are reaching you from Kaftan's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. If you just joined us, you're right on time for the interview. Our guest on the show tonight is Engineer Terver Atsar. He was the former governorship aspirant for PDP in Benue State. Oh, you're welcome to the show. It's glad to have you again.
Nice to have you again.
Great, likewise.
On this program.
All right, so now let's talk about you first. Since after the primaries, you just went low, like incommunicado. What happened and what have you been up to lately since after then?
Well, it's expected. After the primaries, there's little for you as an aspirant who lost out to do than to support who your party has thrown up. And personally, I'm not a career politician. I have a job, which I was doing even during the active campaign period. I was still working. So when the primaries came and gone, I have to face my job where I earn my daily pay. So far I've gone back to the creeks in the Niger Delta where I work for an oil company. So that is why I'm a bit quiet. But I've not left the political scene. I am still playing within the party to see how we can work with our candidates in my state and also our candidates at the federal level so we can win all the elections next year.
So you don't have any issue with the present candidate that was chosen for your party?
I don't have an issue with anybody.
Interesting. Don't politicians always say that?
When you are a party member and the system throws up somebody as a candidate, it is expected of all members of that party to gather around that person and make him succeed. That is the whole idea of partisan politics. Not everybody will occupy that position at the same time. So it is expected that as a presidential candidate, for instance, aspirant, for instance, if you lost out to an Atiku, let's say, it's expected of you to believe that this is the turn of Atiku. Maybe your own will come next time. So you work for him, make sure your party succeeds, because at this level, we are not dealing with individuals again. We are dealing with a party.
Okay.
So we are now looking at my party. Some had options to leave the party. When they feel, okay, my interest is not protected in the party, they took a walk. It is their fundamental human right to do that. Whatever you are searching for, if you cannot find it in your party, you may go and find it elsewhere. For example, Peter Obi saw it coming that he may not likely get the ticket from the PDP. So he quickly went to Labour Party and got it. That is also allowed. But for some of us that believe in certain principles that says this is not a personal affair, we are not desperate, and we don't believe in jumping from one party to another.
So does jumping from one party to another, or defecting, or shifting, or whatever name they want to call it, does it actually mean that you're not loyal to that party?
Loyalty can be defined in many ways. Some people feel injured. So when loyalty is clashing with personal comfort or your safety, so to say, or your interest. My governor in my state used to tell us that politics is interest. It's a game of interest. And some philosophers have also said that the number one issue in politics is self-interest, that which suits you first before your next fellow. So the issue of royalty comes secondary, especially in Nigeria, where we don't have core values in our political setup. When you don't have ideologies that are being held, like
when you don't have that individually or as a party?
As a party, even parties, it will be very difficult for you to jump from one party to another if there's a strong head ideology that holds you, that you believe in. That's why in America you hardly find anybody from the Republican Party just jumping overnight that he wants to be a Democrat. It does happen, but it's on the exception side. But here you can be in PDP today, and tomorrow you can sleep today as a PDP member and wake up as an APC member, and there is nothing wrong with that. Because the ideologies are not strong enough to limit you. In fact, some people have always said that the major parties are just flip sides of the same coin. So moving from one party to another is just like opening one door in your room and going into another in the same house. So to that extent, the issue of royalty to the party is actually thrown to the background in search for personal interest. Let's assume that Obi did not leave the PDP. He wouldn't be the candidate of the Labour Party.
But is it actually wrong to want something, what you want, you're not getting from a party, and then you decide to move, like you said, like
exactly,
Obi,
that's why I
or
say
like
the same thing.
Shekarau, who left NNPP for PDP again?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying, that in our country, it's so much allowed and it's normal. We find nothing wrong with it.
So there's nothing morally, there's nothing wrong with it also?
Morals are defined by the society. Okay, something that is very moral here may be very wrong in India. So it depends on the society you are dealing with. Morality is not a global concept. It has cultural affiliations and backgrounds. So what is not moral in the US may be moral here.
Okay, let's stay in Nigeria. Is it actually moral to leave PDP because you're not getting anything from them? And everybody cannot be like you and decide to be loyal and stay put. Is it actually wrong to leave and then go where you might see like there's a light in that tunnel?
Do you know that even marriages crash because some people feel threatened, they can't survive in a marriage, they leave? You agree with me?
Yes.
So party politics is even a more fluid relationship than marriage.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure that it's okay to do it.
It's okay. In marriage, you take vows. You say, yes, I'm going to dwell here till death do us part. But along the line, some people say there is brutality in this marriage, I can't stay. There is violence, I can't stay. There is adultery, I can't stay. And people part ways. They go before the judges and dissolve those marriages. But in the party system, it's free entry, free exit. So to that extent, and for in any case, the constitutions of the party are not based on scripture. They are not scripture. They are not biblical or Islamic in any form. So the issue of morality here plays in the background. It's just a matter of personal conscience, where you feel you fit in the most. So even as I'm sitting here now, I am not saying I've signed a bond with PDP.
I was going to go to that. Like, are you?
I can predict your.
you can predict my next question.
Yes.
Okay.
So I have not signed a bond that says, look, forever. No. If the circumstances warrant, okay, let me tell you, I was a very strong supporter of Buhari.
Oh, really?
Yes.
With PDP when you were
with APC.
When you were in PDP?
I wasn't in PDP.
Oh,
I wasn't playing party politics. The first time I took a membership of a party, I joined PDP. But before I joined partisan politics, I was an active supporter of Buhari inside the APC.
So what happened?
Where he disappointed most of us.
Oh.
most of us felt that he was coming with a solution to our problems.
Personal problems?
No, Nigeria as a country.
Okay.
Not our, where it is our individual problems that form the Nigerian problem anyway. It touches us on the individual level. But we later discovered that Buhari was just like an Absalom. You read the Bible in, I think, 2 Samuel chapter 15. There's a story about Absalom who wanted to succeed his father as king. He was so desperate for power that he got himself a convoy of chariots. Just like now, we can just get a convoy, put siren, and they will be riding a motorcade. And then he will go to the courtyard and stay by the corner. And as people are coming with cases to his father, he will corner them. He will ask them, what is your case? Then after you finish explaining your case to him, he will say, oh, you have a very good case. But there are no just judges in there. My father can't give you justice. If I were a judge, if I was sitting in that position, I will give you justice. Now he started turning the hearts of men to him because of the sweet language he was using to convince them. So at a point, half of the population was going with Absalom. I feel we suffered the Absalom effect with Buhari because he kept crying and telling us that if I was the president, I will do this for you. I will do this. I will do this. And we felt change has come. So we gave him the opportunity. But as I'm speaking to you, my life has not improved in the past 7 years. The dollar, which I used to get at 180 per dollar, is now 500 plus 600, even 800. The price of crude oil, petroleum products, refined products, have gone up 500%. Subsidy has not been removed. He promised he was going to remove it. In fact, he said there was nothing like subsidy.
They actually didn't know what subsidy meant at a point.
But up till now, they are subsidizing products. Go and find out. And still we are buying at 200 naira per liter. I heard somebody saying that very soon it will go to 4 something. These are promises he made. The refineries are not working. We are still selling crude oil and buying refined products at subsidized rates, and then smugglers are taking this into neighboring West African countries. Our life has not improved. So, for me, after the first 2 years of his administration, I saw the handwriting on the wall that this man has no capacity to solve those problems he promised he was going to solve. And I parted ways.
Okay.
So when I was now looking for a platform, PDP came in more handy to me because I felt these guys have learned their lessons. After being pushed out of power, they are trying to be more democratic internally. They are trying to do things in a more rational manner than the APC that felt we're in power, we can do and undo. So I couldn't find myself within the APC, especially under Buhari. And that was the reason I pitched my tent with the PDP.
All right.
So what I was trying to say, bringing all this long story, is that there's nothing that says I cannot leave PDP tomorrow if the circumstances become right. But right now, they are not giving me any reason to move.
All right.
So I'm still with them. I'm supporting my party to win both the federal and the state and all the local government, the other positions within the state, like houses of assembly and the House of Rep and Senate, so that we can take over the power from the APC.
Okay, you've actually said quite a lot, and we're going to unbundle them in the next few minutes that we have. But now let's talk about your aspiration when you were aspiring to become the governor of Benue State. I know that you are still with the party. So were they able to compensate you in any way after the primaries when you dropped out? Because I know that some people, after all of the primaries and all, they had promises of being compensated with one thing or the other. Did you get any compensation afterwards, or
not at all?
That's all.
And I wasn't expecting any compensation either.
Okay.
The reason is that people come into this contest for various reasons. For me, it was personal sacrifice. I came because I saw the need to intervene in the life of my people. So I was ready to sacrifice certain resources to create an opportunity for me to help them. I wasn't looking for an immediate gratification. So nobody compensated me. I didn't get 1 naira from anybody, from anywhere. At this on national television. You can quote me anywhere. I didn't get 1 naira by way of compensation from anybody. Right. As I'm sitting here, I am still building the party with my resources because my supporters are still there. And in Nigeria, once you're a politician, your followers believe you should be solving their problems. So financially, they are still dependent on me. I keep receiving calls. My wife is in the hospital. I just lost my father. I need to go do burial. I am sick. I am this. I am that. These problems are still coming, and I'm still solving them. So who will compensate for that? I cannot count how much I've put into I stopped counting. At a point, I stopped counting because if I count, I may see the huge amount. So at a point, I stopped keeping records. I said, whatever I'm putting in the system is my investment, personal investment for the sake of my people. If I succeed, I succeed. If not, this money could have also gone for any other thing and it will still be lost.
All right.
So I'm not looking at compensation from any quarters.
All right, so let's take a detour to the internal wranglings in your party, PDP, and then you have the other side. One side, you have the call for resignation. The national chairman, you should resign, and then you also, who actually made a statement recently that he's not worried about those who are calling for his resignation, saying that the opponents of such moves are children who do not have a grasp of the goals of the party when it was formed. And definitely the governor of Rivers State didn't find that funny at all, so he had to respond immediately. Now, what exactly is going on in the PDP, and how does your party intend to resolve all of this fracas, even as we move closer to campaign periods, which is coming forth in 28th of September this year?
One thing I discovered is that the PDP seems to be very attractive to journalists and newsmen in this dispensation.
But you have APC and they have their issues, and then they're always in the news.
Yeah, but the way they are making the issues of PDP look like unique is where I don't understand. Parties always have internal issues. Imagine bringing hundreds of thousands of people from different backgrounds together.
Are you saying that we are just bringing out news where there's no
hold
news?
on. I'm coming to your question. I just said the issue of PDP is being exaggerated. The issues are there, but the way we're exaggerating it as if the party is going to collapse tomorrow is what I don't understand. Okay, let me answer your question. Even as I speak, the Board of Trustees met today. Or I think they are still meeting as I speak, after which the National Working Committee will also continue to meet, and key decisions have already been taken. For instance, the chairman of the Board of Trustees have resigned from his position as of today. That one I can quote. I'm not sure IU has any plans to resign or today or tomorrow. I don't know. But the point here is, those asking for his resignation, what are their reasons? These are things they will sit at the table and discuss as party men. They are not things for media discussions, because the problems didn't happen in the media. It happened among the party structure.
But it started from the primaries, and then with the media, everyone was there to see it.
How did it start?
With the where you have Wike and then Atiku and then the Tamboa's case. It all started from the primaries. Isn't that where all of these issues started from?
Okay, fine. Were they expecting that all the three candidates will win the primaries at the same time? No. So when somebody loses and somebody wins, the tendency is to renegotiate the equation. So I think what Wike is doing is to renegotiate his position in the party. Remember, Wike is not contesting for anything in his state. It was customary for some governors to say, once I resign, I am finished my tenure, I go for Senate. But he didn't even pick the Senate ticket. So he put all his resources, he wants to be president. Now he lost that opportunity. He couldn't even get a vice presidential slot. Ordinarily, as a human being, there should be some agitation, which is what he's doing. But I believe at the right time, these agitations will settle and they will sort out themselves for the sake of the party in the coming election. I don't see that as London Bridge falling down.
You seem to be answering these questions like a politician that you are. I'm going to ask you a personal question. Are you in the Wike's camp or are you in the Atiku's camp?
I don't have a camp. I'm in PDP camp.
Because now we see that they've actually dissected this issue to regional and ethnic sentiments. You have the Northern Caucus and then you have the Southern Caucus. And then the same like PDP is complaining that APC are going into, are blown hot with regards to the APC's same faith ticket. You're complaining of the religion and then you're having caucus.
It's all politics, and that is how it is played in Nigeria, because I remember last time telling you that the real issues are normally placed in the background. And people have on religious and tribal and sectional interests to discuss leadership. For me, all these things are secondary. But in the psychology of a Nigerian, a northerner being president makes them believe that they have certain advantages that will accrue to them. But look at the poverty in the north now is more elaborate than it was even when Jonathan was president. Buhari being the president has not changed the life of an average northerner in any way, in a positive way. Most of these killings are happening in the north. And he couldn't stop it. So that mental comfort that the president is from the north or from the south gives us false hope. When Jonathan was president, I work in the Niger Delta. Poverty did not cease. In fact, a lot of things that he could have even done as a president for his people, he didn't do it because he was trying to please the other side of the country, so they wouldn't see him as he's diverting things to his side. The East-West Road was never completed. 6 years of his rule. It was good enough time for him to have finished that road, and he didn't do it. So this thinking about president coming from the north, coming from the south, is artificial. In the real sense of it, the capacity of the individual who is going to occupy that position should be paramount on our minds. Okay, right now, they have placed us in a position where we are looking at a tripod. Look at the tripod standing on 3 legs. So that is the picture of Nigeria that is showing us Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo. That's the kind of scenario they have created, which has made it very difficult not to talk tribalism.
Who are they you're referring to?
The parties, APC, PDP, and all the parties together, they have produced that scenario. APC went for Tinubu, PDP went for Atiku, and then the Labour Party, which are the major players. I'm discounting the rest. So I'm looking at those 3 major players.
Why are you discounting the rest?
Because even when you go to the US, their own cases, you hardly even find 3 parties playing at the top. You're always having 2. But you have many other parties in the system. They are mushroom parties.
Are you saying ADC, NRM,
they
SDP are all NMPP?
They are all mushroom parties. As far as we are now, we have three major contenders. Even the third contender is shaky. Let me explain why. The Obi movement is more like a rebel movement. When the APC and the APC threw up their candidates, and the Southeast were left out, because looking at the geography, the recent political history, everybody was thinking that the two major parties will put their candidate in the Southeast for equity, because the presidency has gone to the Southwest. When Obasanjo was president, he has also gone to the South when Jonathan was president. Now Buhari is in the North, so it was expected that it will shift south, and naturally it will go to the Southeast. APC did not go that route. PDP did not go that route. Therefore, Obi became that symbol of the expectation of the Southeast that they should have been given that opportunity at this moment. So Obi is a creation of PDP and APC. They created him unknowingly.
Interesting.
So having created this scenario, Obi is riding on that sentiment. And then the youth who feel that they have always been sidelined, are seeing him as a young man who is also speaking their language. That's how the obedient movement is growing. But it doesn't have that full structure that constitutes winning election goes beyond a mass movement. You need structures on ground. You remember when Jonathan was to lose the last election that he lost and left power. By this time, more than 5 to 6 governors have left the PDP to join the APC. You have not seen anybody leaving APC to join Labour Party. You are not seeing anybody leaving PDP at that level, or senators or governors, to join Labour Party, which means in terms of structure, there is nothing on ground.
So does that actually mean, sorry to cut in there, because before we started, you also stated that you're not interested in the region or who is as long as it doesn't translate to the dollar, how much you buy the dollar. We have this precipitous decline in our national currency. We have insecurity. You have the health sector is down, the economy is down, and all that. You are talking about partisan politics, and then when you're talking about partisan politics, you're looking at who exactly will change the scenario. Exactly. That is who you're looking at. Yes. But now you are talking about APC, PDP, and not you're sidelining the other parties and calling them mushroom parties. So are you saying that the next president might not come from the other parties? Is that what you're saying?
No. I've explained why I call them mushroom parties, and that was what I was still explaining.
So are you saying that the mushroom parties cannot?
In Nigeria, it is not practicable.
They cannot present a president?
They can, but they cannot win. That's what I'm saying. The structures don't favor them.
So 2023 election, it is either APC or PDP. No other person is going to.
I mentioned 3 parties. I
APC,
mentioned
PDP,
APC,
LP.
I mentioned APC, PDP, and Labour Party, and I'm telling you where Labour Party is disadvantaged. They could have been a force to reckon with, but I was trying to showcase why they have shortcomings that may not make them win. Even though I would have loved a new breed. Atiku is my party. He is my presidential candidate. He has paid his dues. In fact, he's a good man. He's a humble man. He's a man that loves this country. He's a man that has gone around and made friends all over the country. He comes with that maturity.
But then you have the people who keep saying that Atiku comes and then next 4 years, he comes only in the next 4 years and then he's out and then come back again. So he might have lost touch of reality. Don't you? Are you not going to accept that?
Atiku has not lost touch with reality. In fact, among these presidential candidates, I can say he is a more realistic candidate. Obi is an idealistic candidate. Okay, he speaks good grammar, yes. He brings out statistics, yes. Well, we have had all these things before. He's charismatic, yes. But the age Atiku has over him, his experience, the candor, the stay of mind.
Are you talking about age or competence?
No, not really
here now?
age. Not really age, but age experience also comes with age. But what I'm trying to say is this. If you put Atiku, in fact, Obi is the product of Atiku. Do you understand? Atiku produced an Obi. So if you put them side by side, they don't weigh the same.
Just like they used to say, then we had Tinubu and Oshibanjo. Tinubu produced Oshibanjo.
Oshibanjo, yes.
So that's, you are saying that Atiku produced Obi. So for that, Atiku must take the lead. Is that what you're saying?
Not, these things are not hard and fast rules, but I'm trying to showcase some attributes that makes one way higher than the other.
Let's go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll definitely expand this conversation. I'll see you shortly.
They have gone everywhere investigating this man. They have not thrown out any substantial prima facie case to even take him to court once. Damn, what are we talking about? Forget politics. Obasanjo vowed that Atiku will not succeed him simply because 2003, Atiku as a vice president almost swept the rug under his feet. Atiku was carrying the whole governors along. Obasanjo realized he was empty, and that injured his ego. Don't temper on Obasanjo's ego. 20 years he must get back to you. That is who he is. Quote me anywhere. So he never forgave Atiku over that, because he needed to beg him to step aside for him to continue the second term. And he never forgave Atiku, making him a soldier, a general, to beg him. He stooped to conquer, but later on he vowed that Atiku will never succeed him. So when you hear Obasanjo throwing things at Atiku, it's just a smear campaign.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation. We are reaching you from Captain's Television Studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. If you just joined us, you've missed out on a lot, but then you can still join in the conversations. Our guest on the show tonight is Engineer Terver Atsar. He was the former governorship aspirant in Benue State. All right, so before we went on that break, we've actually talked about quite a lot of things, but then I'd like to ask you, the River State Governor, Nyesom Wike, has made that call for the resignation of the national chairman, Ioshayu, as a condition to mend the fractured relationship between him and the PDP's presidential candidate, that's Atiku Abubakar. And then Ayu said that he would not allow anyone to destabilize the party, pointed out that even if there would be any other election, and those calling for his resignation will not be replacing him. So now I'm looking at all that transpired during the primaries and all. Is Governor Wike actually asking for too much if he says that, if that's like one of the options to resolve the fracas that you have in your party, would he be asking for too much if he says that the national chairman is from the north, the presidential candidate is from the north, the BOT chairman, even though we know that he's resigned, is also from the north? Is he asking for too much if he says that the national chairman should be given to the south, or even to him?
He has not even said the chairmanship should be given to him as a person. The whole thing is that the reason why some of us don't understand what Wike wants is that he has not spelled out clearly his interest. Okay? Is he saying, you resign, let me take over? He has not said that. Or is he saying, I want this person to replace you? He has not said that. He's only saying resign, resign, resign. Me, I felt like, okay, this is tantrums. When you
who's throwing tantrums?
Tantrums. When you are
who exactly is throwing these tantrums?
Wike, I felt at the beginning. I felt okay. It's like a child when you are hungry, or your mother delays in giving you what you want, and you are throwing tantrums, you are shouting.
Are you saying
crying.
that Wike is a child?
Hold on. I'm giving you an analogy. Don't misinterpret.
I'm asking you. I'm not
No.
misinterpreting.
It's just an analogy. It's just an analogy. I'm not saying I use Wike as a child. I'm saying it is like when a child is throwing tantrums at the parents. That's the initial way I felt when he started kicking after the primaries. But the thing has not subsided. He has continued persistently and he's gaining ground. So many people are believing in what he is saying. The question I'm asking is, what does he want? He has not spelled out. Are you resigned? Then what? That's the question I have not found an answer to. I have no problem if IU decides to resign. No, that position is not. Remember, the same Wike removed Secondos after planting him. When he found out that he couldn't get what he wanted, he still removed him. So Wike has been instrumental to putting chairman there, removing them. Even he says he was part of the people that helped him to go in there. So it's time for him to still remove him, and he's trying to do the same thing. So if he has become so professional in appointing and removing PDP chairman, so be it. But the question I keep asking is, what does he want? If he can spell it clearly, perhaps even you may understand. Are you just feeling that, okay, this guy lost it and he's turning his anger on me, and for that reason, he too is kicking? That's my personal opinion. I'm not speaking for you. I cannot speak for Wike. I cannot speak for the party. I am a passive observer. If you could find cogent reasons to step down, he's a man of dignity. He's an honorable man. This is a man that resigned when he was forced to leave the Senate presidency because he believed in June 12. He fought for it, and he was ready to leave the Senate presidency because of his belief in the Abiola project. So he's an honorable man.
So are you saying that he should resign? And if he does, it's an honorable thing?
Listen, what I'm saying is that he's an honorable man and he knows what to do. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he should resign or not resign. I'm saying that he knows what to do at the right time. So if he judges it within his mind to resign, he will. But if he wants to hang on until maybe somebody removes him, that will still be his personal judgment. But the way I look at it, you have a presidential candidate who has not yet won the election, and you are saying he should resign. If he resigns and Atiku doesn't win either, what becomes of? I would have thought what they would be saying, that if Atiku wins, you will resign. Atiku is still a candidate, for crying out loud.
So can't someone else help him? So what exactly is, how much will him staying or resigning, how much will it actually translate to votes on the election
We should
day?
be asking those who are asking him to resign that question. Personally, I don't know. Those who are making it an issue should be able to define what goes wrong if he stays there during the election. They should tell us how we will lose the election simply because you is the chairman. They have not said so. I cannot say for them. I cannot guess for them. From my own perspective, I'm seeing too much noise for nothing, really. Frankly, if I'm going to tell them the blunt truth, they are just hitting the system for nothing.
Interesting. Now you have Governor Wike, who postulated that since 1999 that no state had given votes to the PDP more than Rivers State, but such support has never been rewarded because there is no visible benefit in terms of federal government projects and all. That's what he said. And then he has made it clear that the vote from the state in 2023 election will be put where there's a concrete reward. So as to there is where a concrete reward is guaranteed for such electoral support, as he further stated that the state cannot settle for crumbs. And so with all of this, so if your party will be jostling for 84 million votes as reported by the electoral umpire alongside with other political parties, how much will Rivers State deciding to turn their back against the party, how much will it affect? Because now you also have people saying statements like you should ignore Wike at your own peril.
obviously, you don't ignore any politician. You don't despise any politician. You don't overlook any politician. You don't look down on anybody, because one vote can mean a difference. Okay? So even if it's 2 votes, they are important. He has the votes. If he has those votes in his kitty, he can use them as a bargaining power. It is his right as a politician to use them to negotiate whatever he wants to negotiate with the powers that have been now. So to that extent, he's right, because you can only fight with what you have. If he has no votes to offer, then he's inconsequential. But I looked at the current list of INEC registered voters in Rivers State. We have 3-point-something million registered voters in Rivers. That's a good chunk of votes. So if he can deliver all these votes to the party, it's a plus. So if he can use them to bargain and get what he wants, why not?
All right, now let's move straight to other stories. But okay, before we move straight to other stories now, your presidential candidate, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, says that he is the unifier. He's coming to unify the country. So I'm wondering and I'm sure Nigerians are wondering, how come is there no way that he can be able to unify the party first? If that proverb, charity begins at home, is anything to go by?
I told you the PDP is unified. There's no crack in the party. We are exaggerating these things because we just want to see crisis. There's no crisis in the PDP as far as I'm concerned. These are normal internal things that happen.
With all the statements flying around, it doesn't look normal.
No, that is what people want to hear. They will be flying them around. But the real house is together. The BOT is meeting today. Did you hear them fight? Did you hear them exchange blows?
Then you have people, the Southern Caucus, who walked out of the NWC.
Today, and it will be a peaceful meeting.
The Southern Caucus that walked out of the NWC, is that still normal?
Walking out is allowed in any negotiation.
You have the Oyo State governor who made some statement yesterday, and then the Wike keeps making one statement and the other.
It's allowed.
That's still normal.
It's part of they call it bargaining. They call it bargaining. When you are bargaining for something, you use all tactics that are available to you. Walking out and coming back again is allowed. So far, they have not told you that they have left the party, that they are going to join APC. If you get there, then I know there is crisis. But the fact that they are trying to talk among themselves tells you there's hope.
Are they talking among themselves?
They are talking. As I told you, we are meeting. Even today, as I'm talking to you, meetings are being held.
You're actually talking to us as the politician that you are, Engineer Terver. You're not talking to us as Nigerian, like me, because we started.
No. I'm a politician. I'm also a Nigerian. I cannot come here and try to exaggerate what does not exist simply because I want to speak like a Nigerian. The PDP, if you go to this other party that sacked all their state working committees just 2 days ago, why are they not making an issue out of it? Is it AAC, for instance? Yes. They sack all their state working committees. PDP has not sacked anybody. And yet we are making a whole mountain out of it.
We're not making the mountain out of a molehill, Engineer Terver. Wike and Atiku have not been in good terms for a while now, which you know.
Are you saying Amechi and Tinubu are in good terms? Are you telling me?
We are talking about your party now.
No.
We're not talking about APC.
I'm not
because you said there's no problem in your party.
Yes, I can say that because my party and I know what is happening inside my party, and I'm also asking you that is making the PDP. I'm
not making it. We are reporting what we are seeing.
If there is no rancor between, let's say, the former other presidential candidates in the APC also, whether they have not had any issue with Tinubu. You heard about Muslim ticket in the APC. Have you heard about it?
I was actually going that was going to be my next statement.
Okay, let me allow you to move at your pace.
All right then. Now, so let's talk about that controversial same faith ticket that's actually raised a lot of hue and cry to the polity. Now, with all of these tantrums that they've raised with regards to that same faith ticket. And then you have the Senator Smart Adeyemi, who has said that he's going to bring up a legislation to stop that same faith ticket and all of that. Let's start with your own personal position on that. What are your personal position with regards to same faith ticket?
Ordinarily, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. But in Nigeria, the way we elevate certain things above ideologies, it can be amazing. Now, what has the religion of these guys to do with their agenda for the nation when they become leaders? Nobody has defined those things in concrete terms for me. But the perception is that if a Muslim president and a Muslim vice president take over, they will Islamize Nigeria, or they will disenfranchise the Christians. It's a perception, and that perception becomes reality in the minds of so many people. So to that extent, I can really feel the pulse of those people who felt so bad about that arrangement. And beyond that sentiment, he also speaks some sense in which some people will say, you don't care. You are not sensitive to the feelings of the people. Other leadership doesn't just take care of the physical well-being of the people. It also takes care of the emotional, their mental well-being. So if this sentiment is so strong that people feel they are going to be alienated if it's a Muslim ticket, he ought to have listened. He ought to have listened. That's on the side of Tinubu. But again, he as a politician was looking at which combination gives me the chances to win the election, because if I don't win the election, every effort is a waste. So he saw it that a Muslim ticket gave him personally the best chance to win the election, because as a Southern Muslim, ordinarily the Northern Muslim doesn't take him seriously in terms of his religion. They don't take him as a serious Muslim. So they see him as a quasi or a Christian Muslim. Okay? So if he comes to the North and picks a Christian vice, the perception in the North was, oh, this is a Christian ticket. Even though he's not a Christian. You remember his wife is a pastor in a Redeemed. So they see him as not a serious Christian Muslim to bank on. So he felt that to win the votes from the North requires having a Muslim who will appeal to the sentiments in the North. So for his calculations, that was the best route.
So personally, do you think that's a well-calculated move?
For him, yes. For him, yes.
So for you, do you think that's a very good one?
Well, for me, it's immaterial. To
whether
me, as
Christian,
a person,
Christian or Muslim.
For me, I'm looking at Tinubu himself. What can he do as a person? I'm looking at not even the vice president. I'm looking at him, Tinubu. Is he strong enough to be president? Is he healthy enough to be president? Is he sound upstairs? Is he still very sound to be my president? These are the kind of questions I'm asking about him. So I'm very eager. I'm waiting for him to come out and speak. And funny enough, he has been so quiet. I don't know whether he's unable to make public appearances. Let's hear his agenda. He is not speaking. Atiku is speaking, and then Obi is speaking. But Tinubu is quiet. So I'm more interested in what he has to say than this Muslim ticket of a thing.
All right, so because let's move straight
But
to...
let me also put a caveat to it that I still don't believe he will be a good president coming from the APC.
Interesting, because you're from the PDP.
the APC have shown us what they can do. Okay? So what else should we be using to judge them? Is it not their performance track record?
All right then. So now everyone who wants to become the next president have a huge burden to carry, from insecurity to the health sector. You talk about education and quite a lot of things. And then quite too many to mention. Now, I read an article where you stated that, I will quote that article. You said, having been active in politics in the last 3 years, I have realized that you can actually eat your cake and have it. If the cake is not a piece of the national cake, you lose the moral standing to speak up. I have not tasted the national cake, and indeed my venture into political contest was never predicated on the desire to have a taste of it. Therefore, I have not lost my voice, luckily. So, I'm going to ask you sincerely, Engineer.
Oh, you are quoting me?
Yes, I'm quoting you. That's what you said.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to ask you sincerely, Engineer Terver, can you actually look Nigerians in the eye? Because you say that Tinubu don't have the ability or the capacity to become Nigeria's president. Now, can you look Nigerians in the eye and tell them that with all of this quagmire the country is going through right now, that one vote or their vote to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is a very good one and that will change the situation of the country? Can you look at Nigerians in the eye and tell them that yes?
Yes. I don't have to hesitate before I can say that Atiku has capacity, and he has demonstrated it in the past. If you've been following history, you realize that the Obasanjo regime recorded all its successes because of Atiku. Atiku was the powerhouse. He was the workhorse of the government. He championed all the economic teams. He brought out all the good brains that have set up this country since 1999. If you pick up any good hand that has been employed by a government in Nigeria, Atiku headhunted those people. Talk about Farida Waziri of EFCC. Talk about Nuhu Ribadus. Talk about the Kunjo Welas. Talk about all the additionals. Talk about all, he groomed them from the scratch, because he has that human capacity development mindset, because he's a businessman. And when you are running a business, you don't do everything yourself. A good businessman will source for capable hands who will do your business for you and you reap. So he brought that model into government. He was able to recruit sound minds, put them in strategic positions and gave them the power to work.
Okay.
So if Atiku becomes president tomorrow, I can assure you he will appoint his cabinet within 2 weeks. Atiku will not wait for 6 months that Buhari wasted and still threw up the same faces that we knew as ministers. Because Atiku is well prepared. As I'm talking to you now, even as he's planning to go into the election, he's already shopping for his team. He's already planning, if I become president, who will be my minister of finance? It's already going now in his brain. I'm not sure Tinubu has thought about that. It is after you give him the power that he will start thinking, who am I going to put where? That is not an Atiku for you. Okay, Atiku is very articulate in anything he does.
Now, taking a cue from where you landed and what you talked about, now let's talk about corruption, which has eaten deep in almost every fabric of our society and has now even been institutionalized. Now, during the administration of Atiku Abubakar, when he was the vice president, he was accused of having his hands deep in the cookie jar with regards to how he diverted over 120 million naira to his private business. And then he was also accused of nepotism and favoritism with regards to the sale of and the privatization of the electricity sector at the time, which is still a major issue even up until date. Now, I even recall how much the former President Olusegun Obasanjo had dragged him. And again, a lot of people say that even if until now, that dragging is still there. So with all of this, and you still say Atiku Abubakar is the real person.
I'm going to shock you. by answering you frontally that if 1/4 of those allegations were true, Atiku would have been in jail. Atiku is the most investigated former vice president in Nigeria. In fact, Atiku is the most investigated Nigerian, alive and dead. Do you know if Obasanjo found anything on Atiku, Atiku will still be walking on 2 legs? Atiku is not a saint. Let me not say he's a saint, but those smear campaign is not who he is. They have gone around everywhere. They have gone to the US. They have gone everywhere investigating this man. They have not thrown out any substantial prima facie case to even take him to court once. Then what are we talking about? Forget politics. Obasanjo vowed that Atiku will not succeed him simply because 2003, Atiku as a vice president almost swept the rug under his feet. Atiku was carrying the whole governors along. Obasanjo realized he was empty, and that injured his ego. Don't temper on Obasanjo's ego. 20 years, he must get back to you. That is who he is. Quote me anywhere. So he never forgave Atiku over that because he needed to beg him to step aside for him to continue the second term. And he never forgave Atiku, making him a soldier, a general, to beg him. He stooped to conquer, but later on he vowed that Atiku will never succeed him. So when you hear Obasanjo throwing things at Atiku, it's just a smear campaign. If 1/4 of those allegations were true, I can assure you Atiku would have been in jail.
All right, even as we begin to round up, we'd like to get your last thought very quickly on, as Nigerians, even as we look forward to the elections, and then we know that campaigns will start in anytime soon. So what exactly should make the Nigerian youth come out en masse to vote for their most preferred candidate? We're not going to shop for either Atiku or Tinubu right now. What should be that reason why they should come out, even though they have this mentality that my votes don't count?
Well, we have a clean opportunity now. There's a clean slate. Like our plate is empty now. It's what we put on it that becomes our next meal. What am I saying? Buhari is not contesting again as an incumbent. Okay? So the field is left open and wide for us to place who we want. So Nigerians still have a choice to make. If we want a brilliant, experienced, focused, go-getter who has a track record that can make a step change and snap Nigeria back from where we are heading for destruction, then let's vote for Atiku and make him the next president. Okay? If we want to continue on the same downward slide that the PDP has, the APC has set us like a plane that is landing without landing gear. Okay? A plane that is already nose diving and the landing gear is not there. If we want to continue like that, let's vote for Bola Ahmed Tinubu and then finish Nigeria. These are the choices that we have.
Thank you so much for your time with us, Engineer Terver Atsar. It's a pleasure having this talk with you.
Thank you so much. I look forward to having another session with you sometime in the future.
Most definitely.
All
right, viewers, that's where we end today's episode of the show. We have been chatting with Engineer Terver Atsar. He was the former governorship candidate in Benue State, and then it's actually been a wonderful time here on The Conversation. I'll see you again next time. Keep watching The Conversation because you never know who my next guest will be and what my next topic will be all about. Till I come your way again from the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Annabelle Oji. God bless Nigeria.